Welcome to the show Gold Squadron Gays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays talk about and review their favorite Star Wars content while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
I'm your other host, Charles Rogers, and we don't have a producer telling us what to do.
That's right, because we are independent.
We are also the producers.
Independent journalists.
We're the producers telling each other what to do. For
Right.
context for that, listeners, if you go to our Patreon at patreon.com/Gold Squadron Gays, you will hear a nearly 20-minute discussion about reality TV that we had and how much control producers actually have on what you see and all the boring stuff that they cut out. Just like Bradley does on this show when I go on an extreme tangent about Dracula or
Deep Space
Dragon
Nine.
Age or Percy Jackson or Deep Space Nine. Yeah, you've cut a couple Deep Space Nines out.
But I think I leave in the parts that are important. I think the when you're making the point, I try to leave the point in. I feel like
This is now turned into an adversarial thing.
yeah.
So I used to just run off. I used to
Right.
run off my mouth and Bradley would cut the whole thing out. But now I try to get sneakier. So if I want to talk about Voyager, and I do want to talk about Voyager, I'll sneak it in such a way that it'll vaguely connect to my point. So he'll leave it in, and then it will stay. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's this ongoing silent Cold War between me and Bradley as to, can I get a tangent in here that's just relevant enough that he'll keep it in editing? Of course, you could go to patreon.com/Gold Squadron Gays and listen to everything that he cut out.
There you go.
The only things that we cut out of the show are technical fuck ups and occasionally like something that really does need to be cut out.
Right.
Well, other than that, we try to keep everything. We try to keep all the flubs. We try to keep all the, oh shit, hold on, let me sit here for 2 minutes while I frantically Google this thing that I forgot to research.
Yeah.
Speaking of research, weirdly high amount of research for the one today. What are we talking about?
Today we're talking about Resistance, Season 1, Episode 5, The High Tower. The First Order arrives at the platform for mysterious reasons, and Kaz and BB-8 are determined to sneak into the tower to find out what they want. Charles, what's one thing you liked about the episode, and one thing you did not?
One thing I liked about the episode, the visual design of how visuals play into this episode so well in setting the scene. The lighting is really good. It's really clever. And it also plays off the dingier design of most of the Colossus versus the clean, well-lit high tower. I thought that visually this episode was really, really, really interesting. It's a really well-directed episode. The one thing I didn't like, I understand that that plot's going to continue and stuff's going to happen. The whole Kaz jumps around on the outside and everyone sees the First Order shooting at him. The First Order sees him fucking, I keep wanting to call him Suguru Geto, because that's who he voices in JJK, but fucking that Lex guy, Major Von Reg. Yeah, Lex Lang is the voice actor. Major Von Reg like literally sees him. And I'm like,
Multiple
okay,
times.
that's a little
Yeah.
They explain it away, they kind of hand wave it away by the end of the episode, but like I feel like more people would be asking questions as to why the First Order is shooting Kaz. And that's more treated as a bit. I'm not sure I really liked that sequence. I liked the patrons in the bar, and we'll get to that. I liked their reaction, but I'm not sure I liked the sequence as a whole. What about you, Bradley? One thing you liked and one thing you didn't.
I'm with you on the did not like, because I just feel like it doesn't make a lot of in-world, like no one's questioning this plot sense. Like, why are they shooting at him? They have no authority on this platform. So why are these rogue cops shooting this random person? Like, it doesn't.
I don't know, Bradley. Why does a law enforcement agency come into somewhere that they have no jurisdiction and start shooting random civilians for no fucking reason?
My point is, it does not make sense.
That doesn't happen at
Right.
all.
Well, clearly they drew from real world inspiration. But
I'm just saying a couple of points. Number one, fuck ICE. Number two, Resistance is drawing from historical trends that happen a lot, and it's a really good show and a really political show. People just need to actually watch it.
right.
Anyway, No, I get what you're saying though.
Yes.
That you're saying that within the context of the Star Wars universe, the
Right.
fact that they come in here and just start shooting with impunity on a station where they're trying to make a deal with Doza
Right.
seems a little bit pushing it too far this early.
Yeah, I maybe we'll get more into it in the scene. But yeah, I just thought it would just didn't make a whole lot of sense. The one thing I did like though was actually I have another thing I didn't like, sorry. Because I think I'm with you on that I did like I love the design of the high tower, the white versus the dinginess of the, like, oh, us poor people and with no power, kind of thing versus the we're drinking and having snacks up here while there's no power, like in the whole entire station. I kind of liked that like dynamic going on. What I did not like was Niku this episode.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I'm not going to go
We'll
into
talk about
all
that fucking
detail, but
scene.
like I just absolutely hated him this episode. I just purely hatred. I hated him. Okay, but yeah, let's get into it because we need to talk about it.
Yes, we do.
Section 1. A power outage hits the Colossus. Niku tests new comlinks that create static when used too close together, and Captain Doza comes on the Colossus intercom and announces rationing for the next 100 hours, ordering residents to limit power usage. The group heads to Aunt Z's tavern, where another power shutdown frustrates the patrons. Aunt Z claims that the outages are intentional, accusing Doza of hoarding power in Doza Tower and secretly working with the First Order. The power returns, and Hype Phazon enters Aunt Z's tavern, exciting Kaz but clearly irritating Tam. She explains that Hype used to be her friend before becoming an ace, saying his fame made him selfish and caused him to forget about her. Kaz introduces himself to Hype, who recognizes Kaz for racing Torra, and Kaz flatters Hype's ship and learns that while the other aces are escorting a fuel ship, Hype stays at Aunt Z's whenever the First Order is involved due to an understanding with Doza. Realizing this confirms their suspicions, Kaz tells BB-8 they need to get into Doza Tower and fakes BB-8 running out of power so they can slip away from Tam and Niku.
So I'm an introvert. This is
Okay.
this is well known, and I don't love having a phone. I don't love the ability of anyone to contact me at any time and have a good chance of getting me. I ignore my phone sometimes for an hour or two because I just can't be bothered constantly be contacted. So the ability of someone like Niku to be able to contact me at all times vocally,
Yeah.
horrifying. Absolutely horrifying.
No, and again, this was strike one on my Niku dislike of this episode because I was just like, but I was like, fine, whatever. He's just being Niku, right? He's like, I can always talk to you, like, because we're friends, kind of thing. Like that's okay. Like I'm not too mad about it. It does get progressively more annoying as we go on, but they did seed this right here because they were like, look, the intercom gets like loud when they get too close together, and then
Yep.
they were like, oh, it's gonna
Setups,
be a
payoff,
nuisance.
setups,
Yep.
payoff. Yep. This episode, this show continues to be a masterclass for writers in episodic TV. When you're
Hmm.
writing adventure stories for kids, set it up, pay it off. Once again, nothing in this episode is filler, either within the context of the episode or within the context of the greater meta plot or within the context of the character. They're not just spinning their wheel. If something comes up, it's either relevant to the plot, it is relevant to the character building, or it is relevant to the overall series arc. Because there's stuff that's not resolved from this episode, but is setting up stuff later down the line. I do like that they go into Aunt Z's bar. Aunt Z is clearly at least warming to them slightly, but they
Hmm.
never fucking buy anything from her because
Right.
they're
It's just
always
like
poor as hell.
she goes, "You want water?"
Yep,
Like
free
free
waters.
waters, your usual or whatever. Like
Which
that was
Kaz
shady.
does attempt to order a cerulean sour paste on Tam, of course,
Of course.
which is not a drink that had ever appeared in Star Wars before, per
Okay.
Bucket's list, which I am using for my trivia guide. And I'm just checking to see if it's ever mentioned again. It is mentioned again one other time
Okay.
in this show.
Oh, in the show. I need them to do like on StarWars.com after like episodes air like this or whatever, they need to release like the recipe for the drink or like the
Okay,
recipe
so
for
well,
the food.
actually, I pulled up the Wikipedia page
Wikipedia.
to check and see
Yeah.
if there had been a recipe for this. No, but also yes. In the 2021 Star Wars The Life Day cookbook, uh,
Okay.
the author created a recipe for the dish cerulean noodle salad, and
Mm.
named it after cerulean sour paste. And cerulean noodle salad is a salad made up of noodles and vegetables, rice noodles, water, and red cabbage. And then the cabbage is a mix of various cabbagey things:
Hmm.
uh, cabbage, carrots, snap peas, scallion, sesame seeds, and lime. So it's
So is it
basically a noodle and cabbage salad.
okay? So then would the drink be like a Bloody Mary or something? I'm trying to figure out like what it would be
Presumably, that's what this. Presumably, yeah, maybe it would be like
because more
a
vegetable based,
Bloody
I guess.
Mary
Yeah,
or
that's
like
my only guess. Like I don't know. Or it's unrelated. I don't know, but like I just find it interesting that but also who
it's
orders
got to
Bloody
be a
Mary?
vegetable. We
Yeah,
can't speculate too much on
no.
the
Anyway.
cerulean sour paste. Uh,
Some nerd out there one day will make it, but you know.
we'll know. We'll know. Some nerd will figure out what of these things can be put into an alcoholic beverage.
Exactly.
I do want to point out too, also from Bucket's list, that there's a lot of Easter eggs that we can finally really see in Aunt Z's bar. Among them, quote, among the artifacts and oddities hanging on the wall of Aunt Z's tavern is a wing panel from a Clone Wars era art of the Crumb Bomber, a gunship seen in Obi-Wan Kenobi's forces in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and Old Joe's pit stop on the Thal in Star Wars Rebels, end quote. So there's this one wing that was in the Clone Wars, then in the bar in Rebels, now is in the bar here. But
Interesting.
also, quote, Aunt Z has a shelf of pilot helmets from across the decades, including Mandalorian, Imperial, Clone, and Rebel pilot, end quote, that you can kind of see in the bar behind her. She also points out, as Bradley mentioned earlier in our things we liked and disliked, that the high tower has power. Nobody else does. We're
Mm,
still driving home. There is a class difference
right.
on the station. And that leads the sort of quote unquote lower class or working class to be suspicious. She's immediately suspicious
Immediately suspicious, yeah.
of Doza. There are other reasons. We'll get to them as the show progresses. But one of them is Doza always keeps the power on in his tower for his special aces
Yeah,
and himself. But everybody else has to ration. It's rules for thee, not for me.
right, of course.
Anyway, Hype Phazon walks in. I promised we would talk about who Hype Phazon is as
Yes.
being voiced by.
This is one of two clever named characters in this episode. Donald Faison is doing the voice of Hype Faison. He
Hype
is
Phazon is literally named after Donald Faison.
I love that. So clever. But I love how they've so Donald Faison spells his last name Faison, and then Hype Faison is Fazon. So it's just like a Star Warsy name to like just like to change it, but it's just I don't know. It's just such a great little name. Anyway, he is an actor and comedian. He is known for his leading role as Dr. Chris Turk in the comedy drama Scrubs and a supporting role in the film Clueless. He has also co-starred in some popular films such as Remember the Titans, Uptown Girls, and Kick-Ass 2. He has done voice work before. He has appeared in numerous episodes of Robot Chicken, including all the Star Wars episodes where he voiced characters like Mace Windu, Dr. Evazan, and Darth Maul. Previously, he was also a tactical droid in Clone Wars, and he is also credited in Star Wars Detours, which obviously has not come out, but he is credited. He
Yes.
does have a Disney trifecta, or an animated trifecta. He does a voice in Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and he does voices in animated Disney series such as Tron Uprising, Kim Possible, and Alice in Wonderland's Bakery.
So I grew up in a house with several medical professionals.
Mm,
And as such, medical television was always kind of a stickler for us. My dad, in particular, was very picky.
mm.
He gets annoyed when things are incorrectly depicted around him, and he can tell.
So he hated
Uh,
Grey's Anatomy.
he won't watch Grey's Anatomy, he won't watch House, he won't watch anything
Yeah,
except Scrubs.
Scrubs. Interesting.
We watched so much Scrub when I was a kid. Again, in the early Patreon and the Patreon cut that you can pay $3 a month to access our co-pilot tier, we talked about how annoying it is and like the experience of trying to watch something that gets your job wrong. And so the flip side is when you see something that absolutely 100% gets it right, it's very, very, very good. So we watched a lot of Scrubs, so I was very familiar with Dr. Christopher Turk
Mm.
in our house. And so I was very excited to hear this voice. Donald Faison, massive Star Wars fan and massive animation fan. The role of Hype Faison was basically written for him,
I love that.
and it's named after him. There's a reason he's throwing everything into this character. He's so fun in this role, and this role is modeled a lot after. Have you ever seen Scrubs?
No, I never watched it.
So this role is modeled a lot after Dr.
His
Turk.
Scrubs character. Okay.
His Scrubs character. This is very similar to his Scrubs character.
Interesting.
In that same sort of bombastic,
Right.
braggart, like
Hmm.
cocky style of character. It's a very similar character. I am interested to hype a couple things about this sort of conversations that happen.
Hmm.
Hype, or before we even talk to hype, Tam and Niku mention give us a little more detail and like what do the aces actually do? Because we remember from episodes 1 and 2, the aces do have a job. They are not just like sitting around racing. It's
Right.
not glamorous. And part of the interesting thing about Torra is that she's joined the aces and she has to go out with everybody else and do her job. But it's they provide station security, aerial security. And later on, we'll find out that the pirate attacks are increasing. The aces are not able to keep up with it. We also find out that Tam feels very left behind by Hype Phazon, that he wanted to be an ace, he became a ace, and then suddenly he was too good for her, at
Right.
least from her point of view. So this is
Hmm.
also something to keep in mind with Tam, is that Tam feels very stuck where she is because they wanted to be aces together, and Hype got it, and Tam didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, this is something to keep in mind as we go through the show with regards to Tam. I do also need to point out it's not expressly stated. Hype does say, and this comes up multiple times in the episode, that he refuses to participate in anything involving the First Order.
Okay. Right.
He just will not fly it. Hype is an alien. He is not human.
Mm.
That's not mentioned directly. It's not stated on screen, but it's
Right.
something I want to point out.
And he's the only alien ace.
There is one other alien ace I think that we see,
Okay.
but he is the primary alien ace.
Got it.
It
Well, yeah,
is,
he's the most popular or whatever, the
yeah,
best.
it's three
Yeah.
humans. Freya's the leader. She's
Okay.
the squad leader, but it's three humans, Hype, and I think one other alien
Okay. I need to go
are
back and
the
look at like
aces.
the picture
I
of
would
all of them
also,
next to each
the
other.
ones I remember, the characters that stick out are all human.
Okay. Okay.
I think there is one other alien. Hope will correct me, I'm sure. But as far as the aces we care about, hi Hope. I hope you're enjoying the episodes. As far as the aces we care about, yeah, he's the only alien.
He's the only alien. Okay.
He's the one that's refusing to fly this mission with the First
Got
Order.
it.
So put a pin in that. That will come up
Okay.
later. My final note for this section is I just love BB-8 playing along with Kaz's
Yeah,
bullshit.
he's like, "Ew."
He's like, that was a really accurate noise, actually, that you just made with your mouth. Bradley didn't edit that in. He just did that.
I just, put me in, coach. I'll be VV8 from now on.
BB-8 has an actual voice actor.
I know, I'm saying, like, I just throw me in, coach. I want something. I want one singular role in Star Wars. I don't care what it is, but if I have to do droid noises, I will. I'll just beep and boop all day long. I don't care.
Beep and boop all day long. Oh my god.
Section 2. Kaz and BB-8 observe the Aces escorting a fuel tanker into the Colossus, which initially does not look like a First Order ship. Tam and Niku confront Kaz just as the tanker reveals Major Von Reg and stormtroopers inside. The appearance of the First Order confirms Tam's belief that Aunt Z was right about Doza working with them, while Kaz insists that they need to learn why the First Order is there. Niku goes missing and contacts Kaz to say he plans to directly ask the First Order what they are doing, despite Kaz urgently telling him not to. Niku questions Von Reg but is dismissed by a stormtrooper. Tam vents to Kaz about Hype, explaining how he abandoned their friendship after becoming an ace and only cares about himself. Hype overhears them, puts on a friendly act, and unexpectedly invites Kaz and Tam to the Aces Lounge, giving Kaz the access he wanted despite Tam's mistrust.
We get a couple of voice lines from the ace leader, Freya Fenris. Hey, Bradley, who's voicing Freya Fenris?
Freya is being voiced by Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. She is an actress, singer, and voice director. She is known for her work in Ghost in the Shell series and working as an ADR director on several entries. She is also known for her involvement in music production in multiple games from Silent Hill series. Her extensive English language dubbing of various anime, animated films, and video games, including an English adaptation of the television series Cowboy Bebop. She does have a Disney trifecta. She has done voice work on The Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, as well as a few Marvel video games. And for Disney, she did various voices in Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure. This is not her first Star Wars, however. She voiced Governor Arinda Price in the third and fourth seasons of Star Wars Rebels. She also is the voice director for some episodes of Star Wars Resistance and the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yes, so she's a huge voice director. She is credited as the voice director for 25 episodes of Star Wars Resistance, a 40 episode show. So over
Nice.
half of them she served as the voice director for, primarily in the back half of season 1 and the beginning of or the majority of season 2. She is also been in so fucking much. She has 332 acting credits. The couple that I wanted to point out, obviously she's been in World of Warcraft. She's been in a couple of Blizzard games. She's also been in Diablo 4. She's a voices in the Mighty Nine and Legend of Vox Machina. She also serves as the voice director for some episodes of them. And then finally, and you knew I was going to bring it up, she's the voice director for 5 episodes of Dragon Age Absolution. Bradley's just rolling his eyes like, why are you
Okay.
bringing this fucking series up again? It's
Okay.
over. Why do you mention it? Because I love it,
Mm.
Bradley. We do see the transport land. The First Order gets out. Did you notice the musical cue?
No, I didn't.
It kind of does a First Order thing.
Okay.
You can kind of hear the dun 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 when they step off.
Oh,
You can kind of hear it. It's
I
not
see.
quite there, but it's close.
Okay.
It's close enough
I need to
to
go back and
signal
listen to
to
it
the
then. Yeah.
audience that this is the First Order. It's the
Mm.
same ones from the movies.
Nice.
Anyway, we need to talk about my only other note for this section is this fucking Niku bit
I
where Niku
again,
walks up to the First Order.
yeah.
Couple of things to keep in mind. The show has told us repeatedly that Niku has never seen a stormtrooper. He vaguely knows the First Order exists. He doesn't know what it is. To these guys, to him, these guys are just some random guys that have shown up on the station. And
Right.
remember, Niku always assumes the best in people.
Sure.
So, of course, his thought is, why don't I just go up and ask them what they're doing here? He's very lucky he didn't get shot.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just have so many like questions about the logistics of all this. Okay. So, yes, I'm annoyed that he did that. I think it's stupid.
It's
But
alarmingly stupid even for him. It makes sense
right.
based on the knowledge he has, but it's one of those Niku moments that I'm like, this is alarmingly stupid even for him.
Alarmingly stupid. Like, even if you didn't know, they are carrying weapons. Like, it's not like these are regular people that are just walking down the street. Like, even ruffians and like people who like look a little sketchy, like the pirates and stuff, like, they're still like, they have weapons and stuff, so you like avoid them. Like, I just don't think like he would just be like, oh, wow, those guys with the high-tech guns and armor, I should probably ask them what they're doing here. It's weird. My second logistical question is the stormtrooper is like, you're not allowed to be here. Under what authority?
Curfew. There's a curfew. They mentioned
But
it
they are
earlier
not
in the
enforcing
scene.
the curfew.
No, which is why they don't enforce the curfew.
But that's my point. My point is like, how, I think, is he just stating
But,
the fact or like, because it sounded more
but,
like an authority.
so you also have to keep in mind, too, that the First Order in this episode
Hmm.
knows that they can't, like, necessarily enforce, they can't be the enforcers for the station yet, but they're going to come as close to acting like it as possible
I see.
because they're brainwashed and arrogant. And they think that, like,
That's
oh, well,
true.
eventually we're going to be the enforcers for the station. So people are going to have to learn to
Okay,
respect our orders.
that's true. I
So they're
guess
not
first
going to
order
like
people, yeah.
grab Niku and drag him off because they're in these very delicate negotiations with Captain Doza. But
Right,
at the same time, they're fucking fascists and they love to put their boot heel down
right.
and just try to grind as much as they possibly can and
Okay.
waving in Niku's face like, you're not supposed to be here. There is a curfew. You're
Yeah.
stepping out of line is as about as close as they're going to be able to get. Unless you're Von Reg, and then he literally Niku doesn't even matter
He
to
just
him.
ignored him. He was just kind of
He's
like,
so
okay.
beneath Von Reg's notice.
No, I kind of love Von Regan that he's just kind of like, what, why are you here? Like, get out of my way. Like, it's so funny. Um,
Ooh.
he just doesn't
It
even
is
like,
indeed very
yeah.
Suguru Geto of him
Hmm.
to do this. I promise I will stop doing this every time Major Von Reg shows up, except I won't.
Section 3. The group enters Doza Tower with hype and enjoy the luxury of the Aces Lounge, where Kaz notices Major Von Reg and stormtroopers inside the tower. Hype admits the First Order has been around a lot lately, but insists it's Captain Doza's business, not his. Tensions flare when Hype belittles Tam and her ship, and she wants to leave, but realizes Kaz has slipped away. Kaz secretly follows Major Von Reg into the high tower and into a locked office, plants a comlink and on a serving droid's tray to listen in. Through the comlink, Kaz overhears Von Reg pressuring Captain Doza to accept the First Order's protection, claiming the Colossus is vulnerable without their fuel shipments. Doza refuses the offer, threatening to report the First Order, but Von Reg counters by blackmailing Doza over his illegal dealings and warns that his future will be bleak without a deal. As the First Order leaves, Kaz hides, but static from a nearby comlinks alert Von Reg and the stormtroopers that someone is spying. He is spotted by a stormtrooper and flees as Major Von Reg orders his capture.
The tower's so clean.
Almost too clean.
Yeah, like they scrub this thing. Well, there's more droids up here. You know,
That's true. Yeah,
there's more
everything is droid
droids.
based. Yeah.
If we've noticed in the past couple episodes, I'm going to bring them up because they're going to keep popping up, and once I tell you about them, you won't stop noticing them. There's a little like bird alien that
Yes,
is always
with the glasses or whatever.
always cleaning the floor.
He's like a janitor or something. Yeah. What species is that? Kind of cool looking. Like it's like a bird, but it's more like a Muppet, if anything. I don't know what exactly it is. It's just generic Muppet, but
According to my intense research on Wikipedia over the last few minutes, in the thing Charles didn't research, that alien's name is Opie Pitt.
Okay.
He is a Fragosian male.
Okay.
He is the station's only janitor.
Oh, this one guy?
This one guy
Okay.
is the only janitor for the whole station.
For the whole station.
Clearly not for the tower. Clearly they have droids
Right.
to clean this.
Man, he must be making bank.
Fragosians appear in The Force Awakens.
Right.
There's a Fragosian in Maz Kanata's castle.
Hmm.
And they also, I've got to go back and look, a Fragosian appears in Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, parts 1 and 2, as well as in Star Wars The Mandalorian, chapter 19, in Star Wars Andor, episode 1, Casa, and Star Wars Skeleton Crew, way, way out past the barrier.
We missed that because I definitely don't remember seeing any of that.
Yes,
But
Opie Pitt is this character's name.
okay. Opie Pitt. He is the new
But he's not here.
what is he? He's the what do they call it again? The Glup Shido? He like the new
He's a Glub Shido. He is a very popular Glub Shido on the show.
I feel like he would be, yeah.
Because he's just always around and he's always trying to clean.
And it's always Kaz getting in the way of his cleaning. But yes,
it truly is.
but back to what you were saying. Yeah, it's all droids. It's super clean. I almost think though that like I liked the design of the tower and it being white and everything and clean. I almost thought animation wise because of the way that this animation style is, I thought it was too white. It was too flat. Like the flatness of this animation style, the pastel kind of like, vague look to it. I don't like when you use light colors because it does wash out, I think, a lot. And I feel like we needed a little bit more gray, I want to say. Like I felt like it was too much white.
Kind of try to do a tan. They try to do tan highlights to break it up.
Yeah.
It is weird kind of a little bit to see the character models on the white background.
Yeah.
I like the scene in the Aces Lounge because there's a disparity, an interesting disparity between the windows and the chair colors that they've picked.
Right.
By the way, speaking of the Aces Lounge, in my course of researching who Opie Pitt is, I did discover the name. We only see him really from the back in this episode.
Okay.
The final Ace's name is Bo Keevil.
Okay.
He is a Keldor. He's the same species as Plo Koon. According to Wikipedia, citing Bo Keevil is a character, blah, blah, blah. He speaks so infrequently that the Meet the Aces featurette does not list his voice actor. Unlike the other Aces, his first speaking role is in the short 60 Seconds of Destruction, voiced by Dave Filoni.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
So he's there. He's going to be in the Aces. He's going to be around, but he's kind of a nothing burger of a character.
Okay.
He's not ever going to have really a spotlight.
I mean, every single ace doesn't need a full storyline, backstory, and whatever.
So we'll get to that. We'll get to that, and particularly in season 2. Some of these characters, particularly the aces, Griffin Frey are going to be really big victims of this. That there's a lot that could have been done with them that they were clearly saving for later seasons. and they never got to do it.
Got it.
Yeah. I do also want to point out the tuxedo droids, little server droids, according to Bucket's list, quote, have a paint scheme that suggests they are wearing tuxedos, end quote.
Loves. And the one makes a noise. I think it's the one carrying the tray that he puts the comm link on. He makes a noise from the prequels, and
Of course, you know that.
I just don't know what droid it was. I can't remember what droid it was in the prequels that made it's the exact same sound. They just copy and pasted it. I just in my brain like it unlocked it. Like I knew it was prequel sound. I just didn't know what droid it was that makes the sound originally in the prequels. I feel like it was Pod Racer or something, but I can't put my finger on it. Like it's in there somewhere.
There's a period of early Disney acquisition
Mhm.
where Star Wars as a franchise is very scared to reference the prequel. We'll get into it a little bit when we talk about I almost said A New Hope, The Force Awakens, but we'll get into why The Force Awakens mirrors A New Hope, I think, so heavily.
Right.
And part of that is that at the time they were throwing out some prequel stuff, but in the very initial early, like immediate post acquisition, they were not that interested in referencing the prequel. Dave Filoni was still doing it in Rebels quite a bit, but he didn't have as much power as he would get in sort of the Disney Plus era
Right.
to encourage people to use more broad. A lot of the focus was on the sequels because Disney wanted to sell their own stuff and of the original trilogy. And this is partly because the backlash to the prequels was so intense that Disney really, really, really wanted to kind of be like, no, we're making a different Star Wars. This is also why The Force Awakens was like, no, we're doing all these practical effects because people hated the CGI in the prequels, or at least they did at the time. Some people are way too young to remember this, but I lived it. And I can tell you that prequel hate was everywhere right up until The Force Awakens came out. And two things happened at the same time. A lot of people had a lot of negative, very loud things to say about the sequels. And also, Clone Wars kids started to grow up.
Right.
But my overall point that this is bringing around to is that the people who make Star Wars love Star Wars. And so a lot of prequel things worked their way in, even if overall the story was kind of discouraging that the things they were working on were kind of discouraging. If it didn't appear in the Clone Wars, they weren't really going to touch it.
Yeah,
And so I think it's interesting.
if I ever were to get that opportunity in some capacity, I don't know how, but like just in a fantasy world and I had the chance to make a Star Wars, you best believe I'm throwing every single little prequel Easter egg I possibly can into that thing. Like just as a like it's gonna be there. I don't care if it's just in the background. Like it's gonna be in there. Like I'm gonna put everything in.
It's a wild fucking thing that they reference the clone army in Force Awakens.
Yeah.
It is a wild fucking thing that they threw that in there. And there's just a couple of different prequel things, but generally overall, they were trying to avoid them.
Yeah.
And Resistance is tonally very similar to The Phantom Menace, which is something that's interesting about the show, too, is that it really harkens back to George Lucas's love for racing.
Right.
And so it's a big racing show. But speaking of racers, Hype Phazon does, in fact, kind of suck as a person. Like, I get why Tam, he's a more complicated character, but I do see why Tam does have the impression that, yeah, he's basically like, yeah, that flying is way too, like, basically way too good for
Yeah.
it to be you, or he comes across that way.
He's kind of a jerk. I mean, I get it. Like, fame does things to people. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, it does. And I think he's a great example of what happens when, you get a little too many followers on social
Yep.
media. You get a little too, like, you get a little too big for your britches. Forget where you came from because I'm assuming he came from the same kind of
Yeah.
destitute place that, like, everybody comes from on this station. So he started with nothing and then became a celebrity essentially. And that sometimes they forget that where they came from.
People, it's this vicious feedback cycle because we've seen throughout the first 5 episodes how differently people treat the aces. We see how they treated Hype in the bar. We see how they talk about them, particularly Hype. And it creates, when you're that popular and that well known, it creates this sort of vicious feedback loop. People treat you differently. And because people treat you differently, you forget how to interact with people and you forget how to be kind of a regular human being. Like it rots your brain to such an extent, and you have to be very, very, very careful not
Mm.
to let it do that. Like that's something you actively have to work to avoid.
Although it is worth mentioning that even though he acts this way and he is like, I'm better than thou kind of, action, he still is technically different or treated differently because he is like, oh, the first order stuff. Like he's like, I still am not included in that
But
situation.
by
Yeah.
choice.
By
But
choice,
yeah,
but
no,
it is
he's
it is interesting that he has separated himself in that way because like I think on the one hand he is being like selfish and annoying and whatever, but on the other hand he's also like, but also if I were to deal with this
I'm
stuff, like,
maintaining enough
yeah,
of my sense of right and wrong to
right,
saying that
exactly.
there is at least one other pilot who should want nothing to fucking do with the First Order, and he flies the missions anyway.
Was he
We'll
in
get
that
to him.
little group?
He was in that little group, and we'll get to him.
Okay, okay, okay.
There's at least one other pilot whose backstory he should want nothing to do with the First Order. I do think it says a lot about Hype that he does stand up and go,
Stand up on that.
no,
Yeah.
these are fascists and I'm not tolerating this. I'm doing my small act of rebellion. It doesn't stop anything.
Right.
It doesn't stop the fuel shipments, but I'm saying no, I'm not doing it.
Right. I'm not I can sleep at night because I
Yeah,
didn't.
he can sleep at night because he doesn't support the First Order's attempts to integrate themselves into the station, and he
Right.
knows he doesn't. And that's something that is important to keep in mind with his character, as well as to the fact that he really is trying to like repair bridges with Tam, but he sucks at it.
Right. By the way, your car is shit.
Your
Be my best
car
friend
is
again.
shit. Your car is shit.
I love it.
Your car is shit, and you can't drive it. Please be my friend again.
Right, exactly.
Okay, Hype, you motherfucker. Anyway, we move ahead, and Kaz overhears a conversation between someone who we heard his voice early in the episode. We
Hmm.
physically saw him in the
Last
last
episode.
episode, but now we're getting him for real.
Yes.
Captain Doza, who is voicing Captain Doza.
So my second creative character name of the week,
I think
Captain.
this is completely unintentional.
I think this is
I
unintentional. I just
truly
thought
think
it was
this is
funny.
it's very funny.
I just find it funny. Captain Doza is being voiced by Jason Hightower. LOL.
Ha ha.
I think that's just a coincidence. I don't think they did that on purpose, obviously. He is an actor and a writer known for the video game series Cyberpunk 2077, Cartoon Network series Victor and Valentino, and Disney's Ralph Breaks the Internet. Not his only Star Wars, he previously did voices in the Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens video game and did the voice of the gangster henchman Tay Gruddy in the Tales of the Empire Cad Bane episodes.
He also kind of looks like Captain Doza.
There you go.
Like, like no,
Well,
they don't
yeah.
always look like they're voice actors, but
No.
like
I
he
feel like they
looks
get them
alarmingly like Captain
semi-close. Yeah.
Doza. They have the same mustache. They have the same glorious, glorious my dad's mustache.
I feel like I don't know if they do it on purpose, but it probably doesn't hurt to look at the voice actor and start as a reference, like, and then build from that, like, just to have something to build from. Like, when you play the Sims or something, like, you have a generic looking Sim in the beginning, and then you kind of go from there when you have your idea of what you want them to look like. So I feel like similar thing here, where like you just have the voice actor, you can just build off that voice actor. Like, you know what? Maybe Captain Doza does have a mustache. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they'll just be like, why not? I feel like it just depends on the voice actor,
Depends on
but
how early they cast.
right.
We find out some very interesting political things going on here. Specifically, the fact that the First Order is trying to execute their plan to get Doza to go along with it, and Doza's refusing to do it.
Hmm.
He's not playing ball
Right.
with them. This will get a lot more context. There's a really big thing about Doza's backstory that hasn't been revealed that will make this very interesting. But for now, take note of the fact he's refusing to do it. And they've also got a mutually assured destruction thing. Because at one point, I love when shows do this. I love when I have a question in my head and then someone asks it out loud. And in this case, it's why don't you report them to the New Republic? Which is immediately answered by the show.
He literally
There's
says,
criminal shit
well,
going on
yeah.
the station. And if they report the First Order's dealings here,
Right.
because the New Republic absolutely knows the First Order exists.
Sure.
but they're off in their own space and they're not in New Republic space.
Right. They're not doing anything bad because well, they're not doing anything bad in their sector, I guess is
Right. They can do
the
whatever they want in the First Order sector
right. In their
space,
jurisdiction,
their
they're not doing
jurisdiction, but the
anything.
New
Yeah.
Republic's
Right.
not gonna intervene here, which is very clever on the First Order's part.
Hmm.
We'll also note that Doza does expressly say in this that he's not interested in making a deal. We'll come back to that in the final section.
Section 4. Cornered in the tower, Kaz ducks into a room that turns out to be Torra's bedroom. Torra secretly helps Kaz escape through the window, allowing him to hide on a narrow ledge until the troopers leave. At Aunt Z's tavern, Tam and Niku realize Kaz is outside Doza Tower, prompting shocked reactions and turning the situation into a betting spectacle among the patrons. Stormtroopers fire on Kaz as he moves along the tower exterior, forcing him to make a final desperate leap through a blast door to safety, to the crowd's applause. Reunited with BB-8, Kaz shares that he overheard Doza preparing to make a deal with the First Order and plans to warn Poe, hoping he will know how to handle it. Von Reg reports a spy to Captain Doza, but Torra quickly covers for Kaz by claiming he was just a friend visiting her and trying to leave the tower. Trusting his daughter, Doza defends his people, rejects the First Order's accusations, and orders Von Reg and the stormtroopers to leave the Colossus. Kaz and BB-8 return to Yeager's garage, where Tam scolds Kaz for risking his life. The power finally comes back on, and as the First Order departs, Doza reviews security footage of Kaz's escape and begins to question who the boy really is.
From the StarWars.com trivia guide buckets list, a few things that we can notice in Torra's room are, quote, an Ewok doll, an Ortolan doll with extra limbs, a Kenton Strider doll. Kenton Striders are seen in Dejaric holochests, a Bantha doll, a Tuca doll, a poster of Sabine Wren art, a Bunta Eve pod race poster, Stormtrooper and Bosch action figures, and a T-16 model, end quote. And that's just what we see in this episode. Her room basically looks like Bradley's room.
I was gonna say,
if you're
she's got all
watching
the stuff on the
so
walls.
if you're watching the videos, and I guess mine too, if you're watching the video version of this, you'll see that Bradley has all sorts of Star Wars toys on his walls. And mine it's posters and Legos, is Lord of the Rings Legos.
Right.
Those are the big things that I have. But yes, Torra also has a lot of like various toys and things adorning her walls, which makes sense because she is a teenager. She is 16, which does make the moment where she's like, "Oh, Kaz, I think you've misinterpreted my
my
kindness for something." Very awkward, given that she's 16 and he's in his early 20s.
Right. Kaz is kind of like, wait, what? Like,
fortunately, he has the same confused and horrified reaction that
yeah, he's like, what are you talking about?
any
Like,
reasonable person should have in this situation.
I
Yes.
love it, actually.
It's a weird and awkward scene, but fortunately it moves by very, very, very quickly.
Yes.
Kaz jumps out the window to escape, which, I mean, also same.
LOL. Well, it's also kind of a funny, like, I know it's not the exact situation, but it's like, oh, there's a person in your room that's not supposed to be there, so you push him out the window to get so that no one catches the boy in the room or whatever. But it's just funny that the cops show up to get him versus
they're not the cops.
Well, whatever.
I will draw this distinction between, so they're not the cops on the station yet.
Yeah.
The Aces and the security droid. The Aces provide aerial security. There are security droids.
Okay.
On the station.
That's true, because there was the security droid in the beginning.
Outside their jurisdiction and shooting at a civilian anyway.
Also, they broke into an underage girl's room.
They did, in fact, also break into an underage girl's room without a warrant.
And then the droid there was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, this is not appropriate. Like,
yeah. Wouldn't it be fucked up if there was some group that went around breaking into fucking kids' residences and doing horrible things? Anyway, fuck ICE. The show's really political, guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but this episode, we happen to cover this episode at a particular moment where I'm having some big feelings. Returning to the episode itself. Okay, yes, the Kaz gets shot and it's this whole like set piece thing was a little ridiculous. I did like that everybody sees him. I thought that was a good way to tie in the bar to the back half of this episode. And I also do kind of love that their first reaction is $20, he falls and dies.
Yeah. Aunt Z is so funny. She just like
Aunt Z is amazing.
She's like, I bet we can turn this into a whole thing. Like she's like, we can do this, and it does. It works. Everybody's like, oh, things are happening. Yeah, the trooper part's kind of annoying. I will give it a little bit that technically Von Reg told them to go after, like, get him. You know what I mean? Like shoot him, whatever, because he thinks he's a spy. So, which he is, but like in I don't not to say in his defense, but in the context of the troopers are following Von Reg's orders. They're not following any other protocol. They're only following their captain's orders. So, I mean, even if they don't have jurisdiction, they're just following the leader. Like they're just doing whatever he says.
Right.
So
And
it's
we'll find out too that First Order stormtroopers are brainwashed from birth.
right. Yeah, that's in The Force Awakens, right? We learned that they're supposed to like they get them as kids and then they
Yes, and
yeah, yeah.
we'll cover more. I'm hoping we can cover the Last Order at some point. Before the Awakening got into it with Fenn's short story, and we will get into it later on. And finally, of course, BB-8 saves the day
Of course.
because of course he does.
Yeah, and you said that BB-8 goes away at some point, so I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening? If BB-8 goes away, then there's no plot anymore because BB-8 has been the savior in every episode so far that needed a conclusion.
Yeah, BB-8 is mainly here to make sure Kaz doesn't die from his ineptitude before he can get good at spying, which
Right,
I think is why Poe left BB-8 on the station.
clearly.
I do also remember I mentioned in the last section that Doza is really hesitant about this. He doesn't like it. Kaz definitely mistakes that for Doza is working with the First Order.
Right. Like he's
Yeah.
yeah, he's having discussions and like with them, but
Well,
he it just looks more suspicious than I think it is. I think it just looks a little bit more it just looks bad is all it is.
this is a case of confirmation bias.
Right.
Remember all the way back at the beginning of the episode, Aunt Z told Kaz, hey, I think that Doza's working for the First Order. So
Right.
Kaz is going into this assuming that Doza is working with the First Order. And he hasn't been given any reason not to think that up until this point. So when he hears
Right.
Doza talking to the First Order, he just assumes that he's going along with this deal.
Exactly.
I also like that Torra covers for Kaz. Torra is somebody we're not really sure of her allegiances yet and her
Mm.
motivations yet. She's very young. She's clearly loves her father, but she also clearly is friends with Kaz. And so she will help out people that she likes. But we haven't seen any, like, she doesn't really seem to particularly dislike or distrust the First Order. At least we don't know how she feels about it yet.
Right.
But she knows Kaz. She likes Kaz, so she's willing to cover for him. And then finally, what is Captain Doza's deal when he looks at the image of Kaz? We
Yeah,
don't
he's like,
know.
yeah,
Tune
what
in
is
next
that
week to
about?
find out.
They gotta always give us a little, tease at the end.
Yep, because keeps you coming back, keeps you watching for next week.
Hmm.
Alrighty, this episode was directed by Stuart Lee. We know Stuart Lee's directed a bunch of Star Wars, but interestingly, it was written by Stephanie Folsom. Stephanie Folsom, not written a whole lot, not been involved in a whole lot. She wrote 2 episodes of this show, of Star Wars Resistance. She wrote the story and screenplay for Toy Story 4,
Oh,
and she was a consulting producer on the first season and wrote 1 episode of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
okay.
And that's basically all she's done. She did create a show called Paper Girls, wrote 8 episodes of it. And other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hmm.
All right, Bradley, what are your final thoughts on the High Tower?
Final thoughts. I like that it introduces just more of the hierarchy. I think that's really important to the story and how characters react to things. I think that that's probably going to obviously be important moving forward as the First Order starts to kind of get their claw into the Colossus a little bit more. So it's going to kind of see how these other characters react to having the First Order around. But yeah, I think it was a pretty solid episode. I could have done without the we'll call it campiness, I guess, of Kaz on the side of the building or whatever. Like, it was just a little. They have to put in the slapstick for some reason. I just don't understand
His kid show.
why. I just don't like it though, because I feel like the way that this animation works, the slapstick looks wrong. Like, it doesn't look natural. It looks like cartoon characters doing Wile E. Coyote bullshit. Like it's very much like, oh, I didn't notice I was falling until I'm like I looked down and then kind of thing. Like it just the character models don't move naturally to me when they do the slapstick. It's mostly Kaz, honestly, that I have a problem with because I think it's just his limbs are so noodle-like, and so like whenever he does these like crazy maneuvers or things, it just gives just a weird vibe to me. But I understand it's a kid show, but I just also this it just looks weird when I see it. But other than that, I mean, it was a pretty solid episode. I mean, I like the intrigue of the First Order, coming in and starting to do stuff. So I want more of that, obviously.
Yeah, my final thoughts on the episode were, I liked it. I liked it a lot. We're continuing to get, I think this is kind of the last of the building out the world of the Colossus episodes. We've had a couple. Next week, we're going to learn more about the Colossus. We're going to keep building out the world of the Colossus as we go.
Got it.
So it's not like it's not going to be like, oh, we're learning all these new things like in the back half of the season.
I see.
This is the last like major here is an important thing you need to know about the Colossus episode. I like that they saved Captain Doza for episode 5. I liked that they saved the Aces for episode 5, generally speaking. And now we've set up a lot about how the Colossus works. From this point forward, it's going to be a lot of repeat characters and just building out. There's one major fact about the Colossus that we'll learn next episode, I believe,
Okay.
as far as how it runs. But generally, other than that, we've met all the characters. I will say we have met pretty much all of the characters that will carry us through season 1. There'll be some new characters that are introduced very late in season 1 that will be important in season 2. But as far as season 1 goes, we're good.
Okay.
Alrighty. What are we talking about next week, Bradley?
Next week, we're talking about episode 6, The Children from Tahar.
Awesome. Pluggables. Bradley, reality TV. You can watch Married to Medicine, Temptation Island, The Circle, Queen's Court, King's Court, other new fun shows that are coming that we can't talk about yet and hopefully soon. I have another podcast, For Light and Dice, Star Wars TTRPG. I also write queer mystery thriller crime books. Those are called Beach House Studios. You can find them on most places you buy them. That was the fastest I've ever done the socials because we're running a little bit late and I'd like to get out of here. So I guess, Bradley, run our socials. Thank you for listening to Gold Squadron Gaze. Did Charles fuck something up? Email us at goldsquadrongaze@gmail.com and let us know. You can follow us on BlueSky, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Gold Squadron Gaze. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Gold Squadron Gaze, where we post full episodes of this podcast. If you like the podcast, you can also rate us and review us on your favorite podcast app of choice. Please join us next week and every week for another episode of Gold Squadron Gaze. We need to talk about extrajudicial force coming in and exercising violence on civilians in areas where they're not wanted. This show's really good, guys, and it's really topical, and people should be watching it.